Welcome back to another episode of Dentside Depot. Today we are going to be going over my newly acquired 1979 F250 with the factory SNO-FIGHTER package on it. It is a F250 custom and it has been sitting since 1986. And to prove as such, there you go. Connecticut, 1986. Looks like the last time it was inspected, and this truck has allegedly not run in a very, very long time. So what you see right now is not how I received this truck. I pulled this truck into my shop yesterday as essentially just a bare rolling frame. It had no powertrain components in it. It did not have these axles in it, which I will explain why in a bit. The bed was full of junk. The interior was full of junk, and believe it or not, it had a 12-inch lift on it. So let's go over everything that I've done with this truck. First of all, it did not have a front clip on it. It did come with the front clip, so I put the front clip on it, and you can see that now as such. Not the correct hood for a 79. I actually put the hood that came with this truck on a different truck, as well as the grill and a couple other things, but the fenders are original to this truck. Everything else is not. I didn't see this when I bought it because it was in the bed upside down, but the Marines bumper sticker, so I guess it was fate that I ended up getting this truck. So I bought this truck because it was a SNO-FIGHTER, and yes, it had the Dana 60 Kingpin in it, and someone had swapped in a Sterling 1025 rear out of an OBS with a posi, 354 gears. So I bought this truck with the sole intent of taking the axles out of it and pretty much just parting the rest of it out. So I got the Marty report back on it, just expecting nothing special. And it really isn't anything special besides a SNO-FIGHTER, but it is a Raven black truck, which I think is pretty cool. So what I ended up doing with this truck is it had a 4-inch lift spring in the front. I took those out. It had a 4-inch body lift. I took that out. It has these drop brackets for the springs. I left those in. So essentially it's lifted 4 inches in the front with a Skyjacker drop pitman arm. And then obviously I put a Dana 44 in it that came out of one of my crew cab trucks. And subsequently the Dana 60 went in one of those crew cab trucks. Put the Dana 60 in out of one of my F250s because that truck is going to get upgraded and you will be seeing that truck soon. Took the body lift off the bed, left the 4-inch lift blocks in the back. It has some pretty massive springs in the back as well. Left those alone as they are. The bed looks pretty decent, but it's not. It has been patched. And someone chose to weld the tailgate on it. That I have no idea why, but that's how it is. So essentially what I've done with this truck is we're gonna do a will it run, and I've put it all together to essentially send it off to the next person so they have something that they could potentially restore if they wanted to, or if they choose to go the route of parting it out themselves, that would be their business. This truck will be sold by the time this video is posted. Let's take a look at the interior here. Put my flashlight on. Okay, this was originally a manual truck. I have swapped it over to automatic besides the column. It has an aftermarket seat in it, obviously. It appears to be the original cab, but it looks like someone cut the seat belts out, the shoulder belts, and put in high boy lap belts. That's an odd decision for someone to make, but that's what someone did. No idea who. Floors are not terrible. They have had some patches. The right front cab mount needs a little bit of work. But overall, it's not the worst I've seen. Not good enough for me to restore. There's definitely some Bondo in it in some places. The doors are, believe it or not, really not horrific. Definitely savable. And from what I can see, it's all the original sheet metal besides the hood that I saved for myself. And you can see the 3-speed on the floor. And if these seats were in nice shape, I'd keep them because they're pretty cool. But I'll just let the next person deal with that. Appears to have a Lund visor on it. This truck was factory cab lights. And I added the aluminum wheels. It had dually wheels on it when I got it, just to get it rolling. So let's take a look under the hood here and see what we got. Okay. So you may recognize this engine. Now, first of all, this truck was a 351 modified from the factory with a T18. It now has a 400 with a C6 and the NP205 in the back. Put all that in here, started yesterday and ended today around lunch. This 400 is out of the X36 truck that I recently posted, that I saved out of a swampy backyard in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. And subsequently that truck is getting a full restoration, and this engine will obviously not be used. But the gentleman that I bought that truck off of said that it absolutely ran fine and that it would start and run no problem. So I think what the issue was with that X36 truck was that the fuel tanks had rotted out. And when I took it all apart, I discovered that there's no way you could get the rear fuel tank out because it had one of those weird towing hitches that was welded in, so you physically cannot get the fuel tank out of it. So I had to cut all that out, and it was a big pain. But that engine is now in this truck, so this is like a double combo will it run. The truck's been sitting since '86, not running or whatever, and the engine has been sitting since 2016, not running. So it definitely had a fuel issue. And I also, the number one spark plug wire was also off of it and had a spark plug in it, and the spark plug was also in the cylinder, so I'm assuming it had a spark issue. And looking at the condition of this coil, I'm assuming that that was probably bad. So I just went ahead and I didn't even waste my time. I just put a coil on it. I made sure all the plugs were in the right spot. I replaced one wire that was bad. It does have a Holley double pumper on it. It has a Edelbrock intake, and you can see all the debris and everything. You can't make that up. All of my videos are real. I don't pose, make anything fake or anything like that. I'm telling you exactly what it was. All I've done to this point is get it to condition where I think it will probably run. I have put a screwdriver on the starter solenoid. It does turn over, and I know it gets oil pressure because in the back it's got one of those aftermarket oil pressure sensors with a little line that comes out, and it spewed oil all over the place. So I cleaned that up a little bit. I'm going to put a pair of vice grips on that, and we're going to try and start it with starting fluid. I'm going to spray some starting fluid down the barrel and then spray a little bit in the carb. And I just want to see it just run for like less than 10 seconds. The trans lines aren't hooked up, so it's going to probably spew trans fluid. There's no exhaust on it, and the trans lines are right next to the exhaust, so I don't want this thing running for very long, especially in my shop. And that's going to be it. So I'm going to put the charger on here for a few minutes, get a little bit of starter fluid in it, and we're going to see if this thing will fire. All right, so let's give this a shot. This is totally rigged up on my part because I really need this truck out of here today because I have other trucks to get done. So let's see what happens. So it clearly wants to go. Obviously I'm doing a horrible job of this. I think I'm probably going to call that it. Let me try one more time here. Should definitely hook up a fuel tank and do this the right way, and use some actual spray. All right, let's try it with some spray. See if that helps at all. would say it runs. All right, well, there you have it. And for anyone questioning my technique, any good mechanic has tried that in the parking lot before they bring in a no start. So, and the letter's dripping down there. Yeah, that's the trans fluid spewing out. I knew that was gonna happen. So, can't make this up. That's the real deal. That's a 1986 plus a 2016. Hasn't run, now it does run. No doubt if I put this to a fuel tank, it would run and idle and everything else. So really cool truck, being a Raven Black 79 F250 SNO-FIGHTER. But I need to pick and choose which trucks I restore because they take a lot of time and they take a lot of money. And this is one that's gonna have to be passed on to someone else that has that time and money, because I have many other trucks that need to get done and this is not gonna be the one. If you enjoyed this episode of Dentside Depot, please remember to like and subscribe. I have much nicer looking trucks than this that'll be much better builds than this. This was just something I had in to get out of here. So like and subscribe and there'll be much better trucks on the way, I promise. Hope you enjoyed this episode.